What's up, guys? It's Edman, bringing you my rant slash video response of from Dual Kill Anime's Madara Uchiha cannot save Naruto. And in this video, Dual Kill Anime basically said that Madara should have been a setup villain for Obito, and Obito was supposed to be the last villain. He doesn't think that Madara is gonna save Naruto basically from the title. He doesn't think that Madara is a complete villain based on what Obito's been doing this whole time. And he also doesn't see Madara doing anything villain-ish to make this arc better, and he doesn't see Kishimoto following a good plan or whatever that Madara set out. Now, in my opinion, I believe that Madara was always the overall villain from this whole Naruto series. Madara was always the villain from the first part of Naruto when the Akatsuki was introduced, all the way throughout. I believe that Madara was always the #1 villain. Madara was the first villain, and Madara should in a way be the last villain in Naruto if you take a look at it. I don't want to get all analytical with it, but I have to. And mostly some opinions. So if we go back, we can see that Hashirama and Madara was best friends or whatever at first, you know, skipping stones or whatever, and they became the best of buddies. And Madara had the same views sort of as Hashirama. Hashirama told Madara that he wanted to create a village where everyone can live and be happy or whatever, and unite the two clans that were at war or fighting against each other at the time. Hashirama's clan, the Uchiha, and the Senju or whatever. So my point is, Hashirama basically became the first Hokage. No one really wanted Madara to be Hokage. I guess people thought that the Uchiha were bad guys, and they didn't really feel as though Madara should have been a leader, and Madara was probably gonna be a bad leader. And Hashirama was strong, and Hashirama was I mean, he wasn't really like a Shikamaru, because that was basically Tobirama's part. Tobirama was the smart guy, the guy with all the tactics and everything, but Hashirama was obviously strong, and he was fit to be the best Hokage. So Hashirama wanted Madara to be the Hokage, but everybody else voted Hashirama in. And Hashirama told Madara that maybe you can be the second Hokage or whatever, and Madara was like, no, they don't want me to be Hokage. They're gonna probably pick your brother. And I read somewhere that basically Madara found this hideout or this cave, and he read something that enlightened him on the overall story of Shinobi. He read it, and Madara became mad, because Madara sees that everything is just gonna be a continuous cycle. It happened before, it's gonna happen again. So Madara got mad, and Madara left the village or whatever, and him and Hashirama had their battle, and Madara became a villain from that point. Madara couldn't really do anything because Hashirama was stronger than him. I think that Madara became a villain because he saw how the world wasn't gonna change. Everyone was gonna be bad or whatever. It was gonna be a continuous cycle, which it was, based on all the shit that he made Obito do. I'm gonna get into that later. So it was gonna be a continuous cycle. Now, as far as Obito is supposed to be the final villain, I think that Madara, in my opinion, Madara set up Obito to do stuff for him because Madara was incapable of doing it himself. Madara was on the Mazo statue. He was attached to the Mazo statue. He couldn't do anything for himself. He had to use this. He had to stay connected to the statue, and if he disconnected, he would die. He had all Hashirama's DNA or whatever attached to the tree. And we also see that Obito from the jump didn't really care about Madara. He wanted to go back to Ren and Kakashi. He said himself in the previous chapters, I just want to leave. Why can't I leave? Are you the Grim Reaper? Blah 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 blah. He wanted to leave. Obito was never a villain at first. He wanted to go back to his clan and his village to protect Ren. When he found out about the eye, he was like, oh, we could I finally unlocked the Sharingan. He said, now I could me and Kakashi could protect Ren. You know, they were all on one team. So Obito was never a villain at first. And then Madara told Obito, oh, the world isn't what you think it is, etc., etc. Madara told him that the world won't go the way you want it to go. The longer you live, you'll realize that this world has nothing but pain and suffering and emptiness. This is the reality is hell itself. Or this reality is hell itself. So after Madara has been telling all these things to Obito and telling Obito that nothing's gonna go the way you think it's gonna go, everyone's gonna be bad, it's all gonna go in a continuous circle. As long as there's winners, there's always gonna be a loser, and the loser is gonna come back with revenge and try to be the loser's gonna come back with revenge and try to be the winner, which is what he's been. He basically told the story of him and Hashirama. Hashirama was a winner. Hashirama won the fight. Hashirama is the first Hokage. Hashirama prospered off of everything. Everyone liked Hashirama, and Madara, who was her co-founder of the Konoha village, was in the back burner, and no one wanted Madara. Madara was a loser, and Madara got mad, and Madara found out some information and all this other stuff, and he sees a continuous cycle, and that the world is gonna be bad or whatever. So that's basically what he told Obito. Now, Obito went to the battlefield, saw Ren get killed by Kakashi. There was Kakashi and Obito at the same time. If you go back in the chapter, Kakashi and Obito unlocked the 3 Kama Sharingans and got their Mangekyou Sharingan. Kakashi collapsed due to lack of chakra, or whatever the case may have been. He collapsed. He passed out. Everyone was like, so why didn't Obito just kill Kakashi? Kakashi passed out. And I'm going to give you another reason later. But Kakashi passed out, and Obito Obito didn't. Obito went on a rage. Obito blacked out. He didn't know what he was doing. He killed all the ninja on the field. Everyone standing. He whacked them all out. Killed everybody. Obito blacked out. Kakashi passed out. Kakashi had Obito's eye. Kakashi also unlocked a Mangekyou Sharingan. And Obito blacked out or whatever. I mean, yeah, he blacked out, wiped everyone out. Now, Obito went back to Madara and said, I want to do the illusion thing, the genjutsu, the infinite tsukiyomi. Teach me how to do it. And Madara said, okay, now that I told you were gonna come back to me after you see how the world is gonna go. And Madara basically, you know, obviously he told him how to do it and everything. And Obito carried on that path based on what events happened. He's doing Madara's will. Madara told him that he wanted to create a new world where everyone is winners, and he brought Obito to this genjutsu and said, I can manipulate this, I can make this bigger, I can make this smaller whenever I want, I can do this and that. That's what I want to do. We need the moon, we need 10 tails, we need to become just like the Sage of Six Paths. Madara was feeding all these things to Obito. Obito took in all that information based on his feelings for what happened to Ren. The villain, the bad guys were trying to take some information out of Ren, and Kakashi had to kill her. If Madara let Obito go earlier than when he let him go, Obito would have probably been on that battlefield with Kakashi and Ren, and knew why Kakashi had to kill Ren. But he wasn't. He was with Madara. Madara fed him all these things. Obito took in all these things because they made sense to him at the time, obviously. He just saw Ren die. He's going to think that the world is nothing but black. He's going to think the world is nothing but hell. Ren was the only person that he actually was cool with. It showed you in the previous chapters, chapter 602 and up. Ren was like, I will always be with you. I'll always be by your side. We learned in previous chapters, Ren was like, I'll be with you until the day you become Hokage and all that ish. So Obito had feelings for Ren, obviously. His feelings got worked up. Obito saw Ren die, so Obito became a villain. Now, he's carrying out Madara's plan. Now, the reason why I said Obito didn't kill Kakashi at first is obviously because Kakashi blacked out and Obito just killed anyone standing. And when Madara asked one of the Zetsus or whatever you want to call it, he said, did anybody see Obito? And he was like, no. Just Kakashi was the only one left standing, but Kakashi passed out, so he didn't get to see Obito. And basically what Obito said was, whether Kakashi is dead or alive, if I do the Infinite Tsukiyomi, he's always gonna be around in the Tsukiyomi. When I bring Ren back or other people who died, Kakashi's gonna be there. So I don't have to kill Kakashi. He said it in the chapter. He said whether I kill Kakashi or not, he's always gonna be there. So I don't have to kill Kakashi. There's no reason for me to kill Kakashi. It's pointless for him to kill Kakashi. Because if he does, if the Infinite Tsukiyomi is a success, Kakashi's gonna be there regardless. Kakashi was his boy. He gave Kakashi his eye. He wanted to know why Kakashi did what he did. So he didn't really care if Kakashi died on the field or not. So we also found that out. Now, the whole thing is, why is Madara the final villain? Madara, from what I just explained, was always the villain. If you put villains in categories, Zabuza will be with Haku. Orochimaru will be with Kabuto. I think that Obito is under Madara in that category. Madara is the main villain. Madara is a guy that's feeding the apprentice his ideals and everything. Kabuto followed the things that Orochimaru was doing. You know, Haku was part of Zabuza's little crew or whatever. Haku was doing stuff because of Zabuza. Zabuza and Haku had a relationship. Kabuto and Orochimaru had a relationship. Madara and Obito didn't really have the same passionate relationship. Madara saw that Obito was an Uchiha who was taken over by anger, and he was blinded. He was a little kid, so Madara took advantage of that situation. He was powerless at the time. Obviously, there was plans for Obito to bring back Madara, but Kabuto did it. So Madara was the villain since the Jump Street. Madara was always the main villain. Madara was always number one. Madara was the main villain from the jump. He fought against the first Hokage of the Konoha. He wanted to kill Hashirama. He wanted to take over the leaf or destroy the leaf, and he just wanted to take over of everything. He wanted to do the Infinite Tsukiyomi. He wanted to use the moon or whatever. And then Obito followed his plans. Dude mentioned that Obito fucked up because Obito did his own thing. Obito became the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. Obito went on his own path. Yeah, he did. But all that one path that he went was going to lead to what Madara wanted to be done in the first place. I don't think Madara really cared the way Obito did it. Madara didn't care how Obito did it. He just wanted Obito to do it. Madara was there when Obito was fighting against Naruto during the chapter. So Madara knows that, okay, oh, now he's changing. Now he's changing on me. This talk no jutsu is really working. Oh, okay, I'm going to just sit back and let Obito do his thing. I'm going to sit back and let Naruto talk no jutsu. Talk no jutsu Obito. He obviously, well, I don't think he knows what happened to Pain, but he knows Obito. Once he heard Obito say Edo Tensei when he's talking to Kakashi and Minato, that was it. Madara's plan was activated. Madara was just waiting for that. Madara broke out the seal. Madara was waiting. Madara had this plan down packed. You have to clap it up for Madara Uchiha. Madara Uchiha was the #1 villain from Jump Street. Obito is just following out his plans. Obito created a Akatsuki, try to get all the tail beasts together to do his thing, create the Infinite Tsukiyomi. We know all this already. We've seen it from the previous chapters. Obito is just following Madara's rules. The death of Ren only added fuel to the fire. That's the only thing that really made Obito passionate about what he was doing. Now Obito, that Ren thing just made Obito straight ahead to Infinite Tsukiyomi. And Madara didn't care because that's what Madara wanted to get done in the first place. Madara was going to do it regardless. Well, not regardless. He didn't have the power to do it. He needed a Uchiha. He gave him Hashirama's DNA or whatever. You know, you need to send you in the Uchiha to do the Rinnegan and do the Infinite Tsukuyomi and all that stuff. So Madara has always been the first villain of the Konoha, first villain of the world. No one really liked him in the past. They thought the Uchiha was a threat. So in my opinion, Madara was always and it's only right that he's the last villain. It's only right that Madara was the last villain. If Madara died before Obito did, that wouldn't even make any sense. Because all of this is Madara's doing. So if Obito stayed alive, obviously Infinite Tsukuyomi would have happened or whatever. Even if it did happen, Obito would have been there only because of Ren. That's the only reason why he's doing it. That's the only fuel that's been added to the fire for Obito to do what he's doing. So I think that if Madara is the final villain and the Infinite Tsukuyomi happened under Madara's control, the whole beginning of Naruto, the whole beginning of this whole shinobi clash would end on Madara. But obviously he's not going to do the Infinite Tsukuyomi because this is whole plot thing and Naruto is going to be victorious at the end or whatever. But I think that Madara is the final villain, and Madara is supposed to be the final villain. He was the first villain, and as far as we know, he was the first villain. And he gave Obito all these thoughts and all these. He brainwashed Obito to do all his willing and everything. And Obito may have went a certain way about it, but at the end result of what Obito has been doing, all the people he killed, releasing the 9 tails, all that stuff, all that stuff led to what Madara wanted to get done in the first place. So Madara doesn't really care about what Obito's been doing. He took over Obito in the last chapter. He's back. He's in full flesh. Madara's back. Madara, the brains behind the operation, the guy who thought this all up. Obito would have never did the Infinite Tsukuyomi if it wasn't for Madara. Even if he saw Ren die, he would have never even thought of doing the Infinite Tsukuyomi in the first place. Madara is what made him do it. He would have never been a villain. He would have never been a threat if it wasn't for Madara. He would have never been a threat. Ren would have died. He would have spazzed out. He would have probably got killed by somebody from the Leaf Village, and it would have been over like that. Obito went along with his process, followed Madara. Madara trained him or whatever. He did what he did. No one knew who Obito was. No one knew Obito was alive. Kakashi thought Obito was dead. Everyone thought Madara was dead. It's a perfect plan. Madara Uchiha is a genius. Madara Uchiha, I'm being biased because Madara is a boss. But Madara Uchiha is a boss, a genius. He's the brains behind the operation. He was always the villain. Obito was just a piece in a chess match for Madara. And Obito was the king, and Obito won the match. And I'm just saying that Obito couldn't have been the final villain because it's all under Madara's doing. That's like what happened with Kabuto. Kabuto took over with Orochimaru. We don't care about Kabuto. Orochimaru was the villain. Orochimaru was the guy that wanted to destroy the leaf. Who cares about Kabuto? Kabuto followed it out. He did the Edo Tensei. He brought everybody back. But Kabuto wanted to help Obito, obviously. We've seen it. As far as Haku goes, Haku was a boss. Zabuza arc was a beast. But Zabuza was the guy. Zabuza was the one that did the thing with Kakashi when they was doing it at the same time. Zabuza was obviously the leader. He was the boss. He was the guy with the thoughts. Haku was just following in his footsteps and doing everything Zabuza told him to do. Kabuto was doing the same until Orochimaru died or got absorbed or whatever. And Kabuto went on his own path, just like Obito did. So as far as Obito being the final villain, no. I just think it had to be Madara. It had to be. Madara was the brains behind the operation. Madara was the main villain. Madara was the guy that wanted Infinite Tsukuyomi done. Madara was the guy that lost it. He made this happen. So we can't just blame Obito fucked it up. Obito messed up the chapter. Obito messed up this whole arc. This whole arc was, I don't know if Kishimoto planned this out to be the way it did, or he just went with the flow, but the end result is Madara is back, and Madara is doing what he always wanted to do from the jump. and that was stop the pain and all the madness. So you think 3 people had the same thoughts and it wasn't because of Madara, Pain, Obito? They all had the same. They all said the same thing. There's nothing but pain in this world. All is gonna happen is a continuous cycle. There's nothing but pain. Blah 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 blah. This is all the stuff that Madara's been saying from the jump. They're all saying the same thing. Obito is just a puppet. Let's not. We know Obito effed it up. Obito did some dumb thing. The writing in the final arc, or the writing in this arc was horrible. Whatever you guys want to say about it. Obito is a bad villain. Yeah, but he's not the final villain, and he was the main villain at a point, but Obito was just a puppet behind Madara Uchiha, the original villain, the villain that is going to end this. I don't know if there's going to be another arc. Everyone wants to know about the Sasuke versus Naruto BS. I think the Sasuke versus Naruto thing is cool, but I think the final legit villain is Madara Uchiha, the guy who started from Jump Street, the guy who thought of the plan, thought of Infinite Tsukuyomi, fought Hashirama, lost when he told Obito about the winners and losers thing. He lost. He wants revenge. He read whatever he read in that secret cave, and Madara is the final villain. It couldn't have been Obito, because Obito is nothing but an apprentice of from Madara, and that's really all I have to say to Dual Kill Anime. He just wanted to know, how is Madara gonna save Naruto? Madara doesn't have to save Naruto. Madara was always a villain. He doesn't think Madara is a villain or is a complete villain because of what Obito did. I don't know if I can change your mind. We have to see what happens in the next chapter. We just now saw Madara come back, so we can't really judge if he's gonna be a savior of Naruto. We have to see what happens in the next chapter. The next chapter is going to prove whether he's going to save Naruto, whatever that means, or not. Naruto is a good story, or whatever you want to say. Naruto is great. We all would agree that the first part Naruto was better than this part, even though one of my favorite fights is Naruto versus Pain, which is in this part. But at the end of the day, I think that Madara was the first villain, and he should be the last villain. The guy that everyone defeats. The OP mother effort that everyone has to defeat, because Madara is just a boss. And that's just it, Dual Kill. So that's all I had to say to Dual Kill Anime, guys. I'm Ed, man. Leave your thoughts about my rant in the description box. I mean, in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and I'm out.